welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the last curriculum in Module 2, Lesson 1, and that is the Creative Curriculum. Let's talk about its history first. The Creative Curriculum was developed in 1978 by the founder of Teaching Strategies Incorporation, and she is Diane Chester Dodge. With many revisions even up to date, this curriculum began to define the developmentally appropriate practice in the 1992 edition. The third edition encompassed dividing the classroom into several interest areas, or others call it learning areas or learning centers, and the introduction of the Child Development Learning Checklist. This checklist ensures that learning is indeed age-appropriate and holds the facilitator, and that is the teacher, accountable for the early learning success of the learners. The foundation of the creative curriculum is based on great educational theories and their theories. Who are these people? This curriculum is anchored on the theories of, first, we have Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Next, we have Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. We also have John Piaget's cognitive development, Leigh Vygotsky's social interaction and zone of proximal development, Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, and last but not the least, Sarah Simlansky's play-based learning. What are the philosophy, principles, and goals of the creative curriculum? This creative curriculum is based on the theories of development in young children. Earlier, I mentioned what these developmental theories are and who are the proponents of these developmental theories. This curriculum believes that all children learn through active exploration of their environment, and therefore the environment plays a critical role in learning. If you already have watched all the previous 6 curricula that we have in Module 2, Lesson 1, you will actually realize that this creative curriculum is similar to the discussed 6 curricula. You can actually say that they have similarities in terms of their philosophies and principles, believing that children, young children, especially those children in the early childhood stage, should be exposed to various activities that promote active exploration of their environment. And they also highlight the important role that the child's or learner's environment play in the overall development and learning of the learners. The goal of the creative curriculum is to help the children become independent, self-confident, inquisitive, and enthusiastic learners by actively exploring their environment. So this type of curriculum really facilitates and encourages the children to become active learners, not passive learners. What are the beliefs of creative curriculum about children and how they learn? First in the list is children, young children in particular, learn best by doing. If you already have watched the lesson videos that we have in the previous 6 curricula that I already have discussed, and if you have already read your course file or your module, you will actually remember that the previous curricula also highlighted that children, early childhood learners, learn best by doing. And that idea is actually based on John Dewey. Next, the children learn through play and guided instruction to be developmentally appropriate. If you can remember, our first lesson for this module in curriculum models is all about developmentally appropriate practice. And if you have noticed, while we were talking about the 7 curricula in Module 2, Lesson 1, including this creative curriculum, you already almost always hear developmentally appropriate, because this is really the main principle that support supports the various curricula for young children. The curriculum is research-based, that is valid and reliable. So this is not a curriculum that just came out of the blue. This is based on various researches about child development, and because this is research-based, it is valid and reliable. Next, this curriculum has a core list of traits for each teacher and classroom to follow. These traits inform lesson planning and are why teachers are here to impact the child's life and help him or her on the path of learning. These beliefs hold true to each classroom and are the basis of the creative curriculum. Like, what are these beliefs? First, build a trusting relationship with its child. Okay, relationship is very important because socio-emotional development plays an important role also in the children's learning and development. When the children are comfortable with their teachers and their peers and classmates, it will not be difficult for the learner to learn the things that he or she should learn in that class, because there is a sense of belongingness. There is a sense of comfort that is, of course, well supported by the presence of the learner's teacher, classmates, or peers. Another is provide responsive and individualized care. We already know that each child in the class is unique, and by being unique, each child also has varied needs that are not necessarily the same with the needs of the other learners in the class. Another is create environments that support and encourage exploration. You always hear this word, exploration, because young children, especially children in the early childhood stage, are naturally curious. So it is but normal for them to explore the things around them, their immediate environment. And so, as early childhood educators, we need to capitalize on this and use this to teach children important concepts and skills that will help them in their subsequent learning, or as they move from one educational ladder to another. Another in the list is ensure children's safety and health. Of course, we need to make sure that your classroom, your indoor and outdoor environment at school is safe for young children, free from any forms of hazards. Another is develop partnerships with families. The relationship that we have with our children's parents or guardians is very important, because it has been highlighted even in the previous curricula that we have discussed, that there should be a strong partnership and communication between the home and the school, and even including the community, because we would like to acknowledge that as a teacher, you cannot do everything. As much as you want to, you cannot do everything, and you don't know everything. All right? So other people, significant people, can also help you in nurturing children, in taking care of the children, and in helping children learn and develop. Who are these significant people? Of course, the parents, the guardians, the families of the learners in your class, and even the community where the child lives. So we need to actually create a bond, a connection, a strong partnership between and among these groups of people and organizations, because all of these groups and individuals could actually help us in our mission to help children succeed. Okay, next in the list, observe and document children's development in order to plan for each child and the group. I'm sure you also are already familiar with this observation. As early childhood educators, this is one of our important roles. We need to observe young children. Why? This is not to pinpoint their mistakes or criticize them for not being able to do the things that they are supposed to be doing based on their age. But we conduct various forms of observations because we want to understand the child more. We want to get to know the child more. By conducting series of observations, we are able to gather essential data that will help us understand where the child is at the moment. What is the present knowledge, or what are the set of skills that the child has at the moment? Or through observation, we are also able to spot on potential problems or potential special needs of the child. So that is how powerful observation data are. Without observation data, we will not be able to understand our learners in the class, and we will not be able to plan appropriate activities for them. Another also in the list is recognize the importance of social emotional development. Okay, if you can remember, one of the principles of developmentally appropriate practice is the one that highlights the holistic development. We want to target holistic development, developing the child as a whole. We don't want the child to be just good intellectually. Unfortunately, not all, some parents are very particular with wanting their child to be very smart, to be very intelligent, forgetting that there are also other domains that the children should be able to develop. And one of these domains is, of course, socio-emotional development. This is very important because it has something to do with emotional and social stability, being able to understand other people. And this is quite difficult for young children to understand other people, especially their perspectives. Social-emotional development is really important because this is where we help children to empathize, to sympathize, to take turns, respect other people's rights, and even to do simple negotiations, turn-taking of the toys and materials that are found in the class. Okay, so all domains of development, be it cognitive or intellectual development, be it social, emotional development, physical development. We also have moral development, static development, and all other domains are equally important. Next in the list, appreciate cultural, family, and individual differences. And this is very important because this has something to do with also getting to know your learners, no? And we have to be open-minded in terms of the culture and even the family structure that our learners have. We don't really expect that all our learners belong to a nuclear family with a married couple and with biological children. Some of the family structures in your class might be single family or blended family. We also have biracial or transnational family structure. We also have extended family, co-custody family, and all other forms of family structures. Okay. Another is take advantage of every opportunity to build a foundation for lifelong learning. You already know, and I have been emphasizing this for several times, that the early childhood stage is a very critical stage for young children because this is considered as the foundational stage. This is also the time where young children are susceptible to almost everything you teach them. If you can remember the concept of children as absorbent learners, they act like sponges. They can easily absorb the information coming from their immediate environment, brought by several people like the family members, the friends, the people in the school, the community members, and even the influence or information coming from media like television, Facebook, and other forms of social media. That is why it is really important for children to have appropriate parental guidance as they grow, so that they will be carefully supported as they continue to develop and learn to understand the whole world. Second to the list is support dual language learners. Okay, we're very familiar and we know that some children are using their mother tongue, for example, in the class. And that's okay. We have to accept that, because mother tongue or the children's first language is helpful to learners, so that they will also feel that they are accepted in the classroom. Do not force children to use the second language, like for example, English, if the child is not really capable yet. Okay, so we have to be open on allowing children to use their mother tongue, while we are also trying to teach them other languages like the second and third languages. Next, and this is the last in the list, include children with disabilities in all aspects of the program. This promotes inclusive education, not exclusive education. We are all aware that children are unique, right? And some of them might have special needs. Some of them might have disabilities. And as teachers, we really need to find ways to include these children in all aspects of the program as much as possible, so that they will not also feel that they are being left out or they are being abandoned or ignored. As much as possible, we have to be creative in planning activities for them so that they can also be included, and they will also have that sense of belongingness in the school, particularly in the classroom. Let's proceed to the classroom focus, or the curriculum focus rather. What is the curriculum focus of the creative curriculum? Because from the name itself, I believe you already have ideas on what are the curriculum focus of this creative curriculum. First here is creative curriculum is play-based curriculum. And I believe almost all, if not all, I think almost all curriculum or curricula for young children are play-based, because we know that play is not just play. Play is the natural medium where children learn and understand the world around them. This is also used, the play is also used to teach concepts, ideas, and even skills. Some parents do not actually understand the value of play because they believe that play is a waste of time, and that is very wrong. For early childhood educators like us, we know that play-based activities foster a lot of learning opportunities for kids. While they are learning about things, about concepts, about skills, they are also enjoying, and we want kids to enjoy what they do and learn at the same time. The curriculum identifies goals in all areas of development. So that means to say their curricular activities focus on the various domains of development, because this is more on promoting holistic development. So their activities target social, emotional, cognitive, physical, and language development. The planned activities for the children, the organization of the environment, like the classroom, both indoor and outdoor, the selection of toys and even the materials, planning the daily schedule, and interacting with the children are all designed to accomplish the goals and objectives of the curriculum and give the child a successful year in the school. This is also one of my favorites, this creative curriculum. Moreover, the goals and objectives for this curriculum provide a direction for planning the program and a way to determine what children know and how they are developing. This information enables teachers to respond to each child individually, to build on strengths and target skills that need strengthening. This curriculum also follows a holistic approach. I already highlighted that. And this curriculum focuses on the whole child because it targets the development of the domains, all the domains of development. This curriculum aims to promote learning. The goals interrelate and focus on all areas of development, hence their target on holistic development. For social or emotional development or socio-emotional development in other references, children's feelings about themselves, the development of responsibility, and their ability to relate positively to others are included in the focus in their curriculum. So they have activities, various play-based activities, where children will be able to understand themselves. They will also develop responsibility, and they will also develop the skill to connect with other people, particularly the teacher and the peers, in a positive manner. In terms of physical development, of course, they have activities that develop the gross or the large muscles and the fine motor or the small muscles. And for cognitive development, of course, the various activities also harness children's thinking skills, including the development of symbolic and problem-solving skills. For language development, children's ability to communicate through words, both in spoken and written, are also given emphasis. So I have here an image. This is the reference. Okay, as you can see here, we have the various domains of development. We have here the social emotional development, and you can see here the various areas that they focus on. We have here for social emotional development, they have to develop the children's sense of self, and these are the specific skills like children show ability to adjust to new situations, demonstrate appropriate trust in adults, recognize own feelings and manages them appropriately instead of throwing tantrums in the class, and stands up for their rights. Aside from sense of self, we have here responsibility for self and others, and this includes demonstrating self-direction and independence, taking a responsibility for own well-being, respect, and cares for classroom environment and materials, follows a classroom routine, and follows classroom rules. And they also have pro-social behavior, like they are taught how to play well with other children, they recognize the feelings of others and respond to them appropriately, shares and respect the rights of others, and uses thinking skills to resolve conflicts. Of course, conflicts are inevitable in an early childhood class. For physical development, you can actually see here, you can read this in your course file or your module, that they focus on gross motor or the development of the large muscles, and they also have focus on fine motor or the development of the small muscles. For cognitive development, their main areas involve learning and problem solving, logical thinking, representation, and symbolic thinking. And then for language development, they also focus on providing children with activities that have something to do with listening and speaking, and then reading and writing. You can just read this in your course file. Let's proceed, and we are still in curriculum focus. The creative curriculum shows teachers how to integrate learning in literacy, math, science, social studies, the arts, and technology throughout the day. So they practice sense of integration. It also gives the teacher a wide range of teaching strategies, from child-initiated learning to teacher-directed approaches to best respond to children's learning styles, strengths, and interests. So their activities revolve on those activities that are chosen by the learners themselves, and also the activities that are led or facilitated by the teacher. In terms of organization of the curriculum, there are 5 basic components that comprise the creative curriculum. From these 5 categories, focus and planning can be aimed so that learning is best achieved. So what are the 5 basic components? The first basic component in the creative curriculum is, of course, knowing children. If you can remember our first lesson for this module in curriculum models, you already have learned about developmentally appropriate practice, and one of the highlights of that is understanding or meeting children where they are, or understanding their present skills, their present knowledge, so that you can use this as scaffold to provide them other opportunities to increase their knowledge and heighten the development of their skills. The second component is creating a responsive environment. So there is a setting up of the physical environment for routines and experiences, and these address the developing abilities and interests of the children. So look at this image here. Okay. The third component is what children are learning. This shows how the responsive relationship the teacher forms with each child in the class, the interactions the teachers have every day with the children, and the materials and experiences that teachers offer, so that the learners can also learn the knowledge or concepts that they need to learn. The fourth basic component is caring and teaching, and this describes the varied and interrelated roles of teachers who work with children, because again, they value the importance of social emotional development, and particularly the fostering of healthy relationships between the teacher and the learners with the other learners. And the last basic component is building partnerships with families. And I believe that you have been already aware of this, because the relationship or building partnership with families has been always mentioned in the previous curricula that we have discussed. So this is more on exploring the advantages or benefits of working with families as partners in the care of their children. Remember that parents and families have a lot of knowledge about their children. So why not use this knowledge and skills to plan something that will be very beneficial to the learners? So it's building teamwork between the parents and families and the teacher or the school, and capitalizing on this teamwork to benefit the child. Let's proceed to the roles of the teacher. What are the roles expected of a teacher in a creative curriculum? The teacher is crucial to the child's learning. The teacher is the person who sees the child daily, plans activities to promote the child's individual skill, and helps bridge the gap between what they can do alone and what they need assistance with. So this has something to do with the idea of Leigh-Vygotsky, because Leigh-Vygotsky emphasized the use of the art of scaffolding, or the zone of proximal development. That means that there are activities that the children can do on their own, and there are also activities that they need help with or assistance by the teacher or any significant or competent adult or even a peer. So teachers need to provide many and varied activities for children, and they have also to allow children to have time to practice new skills, develop positive relationships with each child, create a safe environment, because you know that environment is very significant to the child's learning. The environment will really have either a positive or negative influence to the learners, and that depends on the type of environment. And then we also have provide many rich language experiences throughout the day by describing what is happening, asking questions, singing, reading, and all other activities that will promote children to speak and to share and to talk to you as the teacher, or to communicate with the peers or classmates in the room. And of course, offer continuity of care. Children are vulnerable, you know that. And so they need really extra care. Next is use series of questionnaires. The teachers in the creative curriculum make use of series of questionnaires which are designed to identify infants and young children who show potential development problems. So remember what I told you earlier about the use of observations. When teachers do observations, they bring with them several assessment tools, and one of these tools is the questionnaire. Because when the teachers observe, they also refer to the questionnaires that they have, because these questionnaires have certain items that they need to focus on while they are doing the observation. Each questionnaire has specific questions that can be answered by the teacher, parent, caretaker, or nurse, which is used to determine whether the child is on target or needs further evaluation. All children are evaluated using this tool within the first 45 days of enrollment. So from the first day to the 45th day of enrollment, children are being observed through the use of these various series of questionnaires. If a child is identified as needing further evaluation, the child's teacher will contact the parents to discuss the next steps, because early childhood stage is really critical, and this is very important. This is a very important stage because this is also the time where teachers are able to identify potential problems or potential special needs or disabilities of young children. And if there is early detection, there will also be a high chance that early intervention will be provided to the learners which need it. Okay? So it's really important for us to be sensitive to the needs and the behaviors of the learners, because we might be able to overlook some of the things that need to be addressed if we are not sensitive enough. Another is utilize teaching strategies assessment. This is an authentic performance-based assessment tool, and this is designed to help classroom teachers document and evaluate children's skills, knowledge, behaviors, and accomplishments across a wide variety of curriculum areas on multiple occasions in order to enhance or improve teaching and learning, and of course, to keep track of each child's individual achievements. So this highlights the use of various assessment tools, the use of these assessment tools to fairly document the progress or the improvement that each child in the class is making. Children are observed during the regular classroom activities, and their progress is recorded 3 times a year with the use of developmental checklists, a portfolio collection, and of course, a summary report. As children play, teachers watch how they use materials, how they interact with the various materials found in their environment, and teachers listen. Listening is very important because even in what they say, we can also be able to get essential information there. The type of language they use, the manner on how they communicate with their peers is also important to be documented. Teachers talk with them to find out what they are thinking and trying to do. Teachers observe what they do and take note. Through those notes, teachers can plan activities that interest them, but still teach skill building within the 4 stages. So you can see that the role of the teacher here is not just to plan appropriate activities. They also need to observe first the children so that they can use the observation data in planning activities. And teachers also need to talk to the learners so that the teachers will also know what the learners are thinking, what they are planning to do for the day. And we can also facilitate communication by talking to the learners. So let's proceed to the roles of the learners in the creative curriculum. Children are encouraged to observe. They are also encouraged to take things apart if necessary, build and see what they can find out. Because remember, this creative curriculum highlights exploration, and that means that they really have to interact with the materials in their environment. That's why they can take things apart and put them back together after understanding how the materials work. The more active children are in their work, the more they learn and remember, because there is better retention if they are exposed to concrete or hands-on or direct experiences. Children are also expected to develop at the rate of their developmental needs, interests, and personality. So we already have learned about developmental stages, the milestones. There are expected skills that children should be able to demonstrate at a particular age. But then again, let's be mindful that children are unique, and so they don't really expectedly develop at the same time and at the same rate and at the same manners, because they have their own pace of development, and we have to understand that and support that. Each child will think creatively and flexibly, use technology, work collaboratively and constructively with others, be respectful of differences, and care for the environment, and develop good communication skills. So you can see that this targets socio-emotional development, being respectful to others, being collaborative with others, still falls under socio-emotional development. When you say they have to think creatively and flexibly, that has something to do with their cognitive or intellectual development already. And when you say that they need to demonstrate care for the environment, that is still on socio-emotional development and language development for communication skills development. What about the roles of the parents? Earlier, I mentioned that there should be a strong connection between the parents and the teachers. So we already have an idea on what roles parents play in this type of curriculum. This curriculum encourages parental involvement. See, they also value the participation of parents in the educational process of the learners in this curriculum. And I believe all the curricula that we already have discussed are the same with this curriculum in terms of highlighting parental involvement. It places a strong emphasis on defining the family role and connecting these two worlds by encouraging parent-teacher communication and partnership to enhance the children's learning. So still, this has something to do with establishing and maintaining healthy relationship and communication with the parents and the families of the learners. Because in the end, you cannot do everything. There are things that you don't know that the parents know, and there are also things that the parents don't know, the teachers know. So there is a need for these two worlds, the home and the school, to meet halfway just so they can support the children properly. The curriculum offers tools for parents to understand, assess, and support their child's development, as well as connect with teachers and other individuals important in their child's development. That is why, what are these tools to help parents understand? These are the following. They have or they make use of parent bulletin boards. So imagine they have an exclusive bulletin board just for parents, and these are located near the front entrance of the classroom. In the parent bulletin boards, of course, this is where important information are posted, and this is also a way of communicating to the parents. Another is they have the parent newsletter, which may contain policy changes, which will be published. And so another also is staff news and information and other stories of interest. Aside from parent bulletin boards and parent newsletter, they also make use of parent information area, and this is also located in each classroom. This area will include the daily sign-in and sign-out sheets, field trip information, daily schedule and lesson plans, and written accounts of the day for individual children or the groups as a whole. And they also have daily oral communication with teachers and or the director, or in our case, that's the principal. Most classroom teachers open or close their classrooms and are available to speak with parents about any concerns or questions they may have. Additionally, they may call the center and speak with the teachers or the director or principal at any time. So that is how open they are to parents and families. If they are on campus, if the parents are inside the school, they may dial the classroom directly so that they can freely speak to the teacher of their child. Another is scheduled conferences are offered twice per year. So they have parent-teacher conferences. Parents sign up for an individual conference just in case they want to have individual conference on the development of their child. And parents may also request a conference with the teachers or the principal or director at any time to obtain or share additional information about their children. Parents are always welcome to drop by and observe or participate in classroom activities. And some of the teachers are actually uncomfortable when parents are around, but in the creative curriculum, they are freely welcome to observe and drop by the classroom of their children. Let's proceed to the daily schedule in the creative curriculum. This is only a sample schedule. There are a lot of schedules for the creative curriculum. This is a sample of a whole day schedule from 7 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So first column, time allotment, and then second column here are the activities done. So for 60 minutes, this is on preparation, arrival, and choice activities. When you say choice activities, these activities are done by the children based on what they want, or this is more on free play or free choice activities. What they specifically do for this day, they review the plans for the day, what they intend to do for the day. They also conduct a health and safety check. They refill bathroom supplies, remove any broken or torn materials, check outside for trash, prepare the interest areas. They add new materials, mix paint, set out ingredients for a cooking activity, collect materials needed for small groups. They also greet each family and child as they arrive, help children store belongings, respond to the question of the day because a teacher posts a question of the day, and they select an activity which could be in the form of playing with toys, doing games, drawing, continuing to work on a project, looking at books, listening to recorded stories, or using the computer. Talk with individual children and supervise self-service breakfast. So that's for the 60 minutes of their daily schedule. That's for the first hour of the day. Another 30 minutes is spent for hand washing and breakfast. Children sit and eat their breakfast and have conversations, of course, with their peers and classmates or with the teachers. If you set out a self-service breakfast, continue with the independent activities suggested above. For 20 minutes, they have group meeting. Of course, the teacher will give a signal to gather the group together. Start with a welcome song, discuss attendance, how many are present, how many are not around, and of course the job charts, who will do this and that within the day. Teachers also invite children to share news, discuss the question of the day, record children's ideas, lead a song or finger play, conduct an activity or discussion related to a study topic, discuss the plans that they have for the day, and introduce any new materials that are added or to be added in their interest areas, or some call it work areas or learning centers. Another 70 minutes is for choice time, and this is more on giving transition to children. So transition children gradually to choice time activities. You can say, the teacher can say, if you are wearing red, you may choose an interest area. So you can actually be creative. Guide children in selecting where they want to start and what they want to do. Of course, even if this is called choice time and this is based on what children want to do for a specific period of time, this doesn't mean that you will just leave children on their own. Of course, as a teacher, you will be there to facilitate where the children will go. If children cannot decide where to go, because almost all of the interest areas are interesting and they are confused on what to do first, of course, your role as a teacher is to help them decide, give them suggestions if they want to. And in the choice time, the teachers also will need to observe and interact with individual children to extend play and learning. And then they work with children engaged in study activities, read books to individual children and spontaneous small groups, give a 5-minute warning before clean-up time, and help children put materials away in each interest area. We also have small groups, which is equivalent to 20 minutes. So teachers can gather children for small group activities to introduce new concepts and reinforce the skills that children are developing. If one or more other adults are in the room, you as a teacher may choose to conduct 2 or more small groups at once. Otherwise, you can invite children not currently participating in a small group to select a quiet activity, like they can interact with toys and games, they can do drawing, they can continue to work on a project, they can look at books, they can listen to recordings or use the computer. An alternative is to continue choice time for an additional 20 minutes, conducting a small group activity during that time. Detailed guidance for conducting small group activities is provided in the Creative Curriculum for Preschool, Volume 3, Literacy, and Volume 4, Mathematics. And of course, Teaching Strategies, Intentional Teaching Cards are also offering ideas on how to do this. 15 minutes, again, is given for hand washing and snack time. Another 15 minutes for read aloud, because this focuses children's attention by beginning with a song or finger play that ends quietly, and then they can read a story or discuss a book related to the topic of the class current study. 60 minutes is spent for outdoor choice time. If they have indoor choice time, they also have outdoor choice time. Here, the teacher needs to supervise children who are using the playground toys and equipment like the swings, the climbers, and slides. Of course, for safety purposes. Teachers also need to observe and interact with children as they jump rope, play ball games, blow bubbles, explore the nature, and so on and so forth. Teachers also lead activities related to a study, or they can assist the games and movement activities that promote large muscle development. Remember, because they are also targeting the development of the physical aspect or the large muscle development. They can also help children put away or carry in toys and materials, hang up jackets, use the toilet, and wash their hands. So you can actually see that the teacher really is very important in the conduct of the various activities. Next, 40 minutes will be for lunch. During this time, teachers also need to guide children in cleaning up after lunch, brushing teeth, setting out cots or small beds or mats, and then preparing to rest. This actually promotes responsibility in children. And then 15 minutes is spent for read aloud again. So of course, here the teacher can introduce a new story, or they can reread a familiar story, asking questions and involving children in the reading activity. And then 90 minutes is good for rest time, so that children also can relax and get comfortable after doing those various activities. Here, the teacher will supervise the rest area at all times. That is to ensure that children are indeed resting and not playing or quarreling. And then, of course, the teacher here can provide quiet activities for children who do not want to sleep. Okay? And then adjust the length of rest time to suit the age of the group and the needs of the individual children. And then another 60 minutes will be for snack, choice time, and small groups. 15 minutes again for read aloud. 60 minutes again for outdoor choice time again. And then 15 minutes for group meetings. So here the teacher can lead a movement activity and teach children a finger play or an activity with musical instruments. And then the teacher will need to review the children's responses to the question of the day, invite children to talk about the day, including what they want to remember about it, record highlights on the class calendar, and talk about plans for the next day. 75 minutes is for limited choice time and departures. So, of course, children here are involved in quiet activities such as hanging up the artworks that they did, preparing for the next day. Here, the teacher also greets families and involve children in sharing the experiences they had for that day. And of course, if time would allow, they will have planning and reflection activity. And this is more on reviewing what went out well in that day, what did not go well, what are the reasons why it did not go well. And of course, this is also the time where the teacher shares the observations that he or she has in the various daily activities that they do with the children. And of course, this is also the time to work on portfolios and observation notes. So we're done with that sample daily schedule of creative curriculum. Let's now proceed to the learning environment and the learning materials in the creative curriculum. This curriculum balances teacher-planned and child-initiated learning, emphasizing on responsiveness to children's strengths, interests, needs, and learning styles. Content-rich and developmentally appropriate learning environment that supports active learning and promotes children's progress in all developmental areas. And of course, this requires the physical space of the classroom to be structured into different interest areas. Their classroom is divided into various interest areas, which are like dramatic play or good for housekeeping activity, blocks, manipulative or table toys, art, sand, water, library, music, writing center, computers, outdoors, science discovery interest center. They also have listening center, large motor area, and trains or doll house, and many others. Their environment has rich environment because the richer the environments, the more concrete opportunities there are for children to learn by interacting with the materials and the space. And of course, the people. So I will be showing you now the sample classroom setups in the creative curriculum. What can you say about how their classrooms look like? Okay, you can see that the classrooms really are divided into several areas. You can see that this portion here is something to do with art. And I think this is more on reading. You have here this part where you can actually see colorful, red cups This, I think, is on manipulatives and all the other parts. Okay? They are busily engaged with various activities. Okay. All right. And of course, the last part of this discussion is going to be about the additional features of the creative curriculum. So first in the list is confidentiality. All written records about children, the staff, and the parents are strictly confidential. Parents may read any accident or injury reports about their children in the classroom logs, but may not have access to incidents involving the other children. So the parents can only read on the incident report of their own children, not the incident reports including the children of other parents. Phone numbers and addresses of children in the school are also not given out without the written permission of the parent. In terms of discipline, during the early childhood years, children are learning to be in charge of themselves. They want to act responsible. They want to show adults that they can do this and that. This program believes in establishing consistent, understandable limits and in having teachers who respond to inappropriate behavior with insight, sensitivity, and skill. Of course, children are children. They do mistakes, they commit errors, and as adults, we should be there to guide them and teach them what is appropriate and inappropriate, because that is also on developing children's character, besides on developing their competence in the cognitive development and other developmental domains. Also, the program believes that it is the school and the teacher's responsibility to provide children with positive guidance. Of course, this is one of the important roles of schools and teachers. But personally, I believe that parents also should be able to provide positive guidance, specifically when children are at home or when children are with the parents. The teachers, the school, and the parents and the families should help in terms of fostering positive guidance in teaching children proper behavior and correcting children should they be showing inappropriate or unacceptable behaviors. Okay, in the event that the child does not respond, for example, if the child has been really unruly, the families will be notified and work closely with teachers to develop a plan to help the child gain self-control and a positive attitude toward his peers and teachers. Okay, so a behavioral plan is to be developed and agreed by the teachers and the parents of the unruly child, because this is of course to help the child to gain control and understand that his or her certain behaviors are no longer beneficial or helpful to the rest of the group in the school. So there should be consistency on the action plan or the behavioral plan that is to be used to improve the children's or the child's behavior. In terms of special needs, for children with special needs, the staff will make every attempt to help facilitate a positive and successful experience for each child enrolled in the program, including children with special needs. Families inform the school and teachers of any accommodations necessary to assure success. Of course, the parents and the families communicate with the teachers in terms on the possible support or accommodations that the teacher and the school can provide their children with special needs, of course, to help the children still succeed despite the special needs. Okay, so we're done with creative curriculum, and this is now also the part where I will also be discussing to you the activity that you will be doing for the 7 curricula that we already have discussed. So for activity 1, what you're going to do is, let me read the instruction. You need to compare and contrast the 7 curriculum models. Include only the highlights or main points of each curriculum. Use the given matrix here. So what you're going to do, because we're done discussing this creative curriculum, the last curriculum in Module 2, Lesson 1, it's time for you to do the activity 1, which is on comparing and contrasting the 7 curriculum or curricula that we have in Module 2, Lesson 1. And of course, the first column here are the 7 curricula. This column here is on the theoretical basis. For example, for Bank Street Developmental Approach, what are the theoretical bases used to support the Bank Street Developmental Interaction Approach? Is it on the theory of Levi-Vygotsky, John Dewey, or who else? You have to put these theories in this column. And of course, their philosophy, their principles and goals in this third column. Fourth column will be the beliefs about how children learn and curriculum focus. I would like to remind you that you need to use your own words. That is, of course, for me to know if you really understood the lesson. Kindly use your own words in supplying the essential information needed for this matrix. Do not copy those that are found in your module or course file. Okay, so that is what you're going to do. You need to compare the 7 curricula in the various highlights, and you also need to compare them in terms of the roles of the teacher, the roles of the learners, components of the daily schedule. What are the components of the schedule of the curriculum? Do they have arrival, departure, or something to do with small group meeting, or what are the parts or elements of their schedule? You need to place them here in the fourth column. And of course, you also describe their learning environment and the learning materials. So again, kindly use your own words. Okay, that's it. And for activity 2, this has something to do with developing a summary of best practices found in the various curriculum models or programs in the following areas: curriculum, role of teachers, role of learners, role of parents, learning environment, and learning materials. What you're going to do is you need to provide 5 best practices from the 7 curriculum models or programs. Alright, so this is now the part wherein you need to remember all the best practices that you actually have learned or identified from the 7 curricula in terms of their curriculum focus. How about in terms of the role of the teachers, in the role of the learners, role of the parents, and of course the learning environment and the learning materials. So you need only to give 5 for every area. And this is the rubric that I will be using to rate you in your output for activity 2. So kindly read thoroughly the rubric so that you will know what are expected of you out of this activity 2. And of course, let me show you also the references that I have used in the 7 curricula that we have discussed. These are the references. There are plenty of them because of course we have tackled 7 curricula for young children. That ends Module 2, Lesson 1. We have finished the 7th curriculum in Module 2, Lesson 1. Should you have questions or clarifications, feel free to comment, or you can put them in our Facebook group Q&A section. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.